Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 6 of the EveryDay Pundits Podcast. My name is Nathan and I'm joined as always by my co-host Evan.
Back once again, lads, here we go.
We actually have another special guest with us today who's going to weigh in on probably the Formula One and then because a few people have mentioned to me, they've said, I would like to hear more football. So, ask and you shall receive. So we brought in someone who knows a bit more about football than I do.
Yes.
So we're joined by one of our close friends here, Harry. Say hello, Harry.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
It was
welcome.
nice to have a little switch up. So I thought, we'll just get straight into it. Once again, the second leg of the Grand Prix at Silverstone has just wrapped up. I can't remember whether it was a 70th.
Emirates 70th anniversary race at Silverstone.
Emirates Formula One 70th anniversary Grand Prix.
Oh, very fancy, very fancy.
Why don't you start us off, Ev? What do you think were the standouts so far?
Well, it's only going to start with one place if anyone knows me. The Hulk's back, boy. The Hulk's back, baby. He is. Oh, it was so good to see. I'm so happy, and he got his car. They got his car to actually start this race.
Well, he looked pretty good in the car as well.
He looked amazing.
I think he drove it very well.
Well, Q2 he finished second ahead of Hamilton. I know they backed off on their tyres, and then he finished third overall. In qualifying, that's ridiculous.
It's a shame he couldn't get a podium, but I think physically you could probably imagine that when they start to get the latter half of the race, it probably physically was telling a bit.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree with that. And I think not only has it done wonders for him in the future, but you look at how Racing Point are now and you look at what they could achieve. And obviously it's not just down to Perez or Stroll. If you have Hülkenberg come in, you can say, well, we're still performing to a top 5 level with a different driver this week. So
exactly,
it bodes well for both Hülkenberg and Racing Point.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see, and if anything, let's hope he gets a contract out of this. It's still a crime he's not in F1, and Ocon is. Right, we're not getting into that again. I've spent too much time on Ocon. How he's still in the seat it still perplexes me.
We got a Renault fan here. We got a Renault fan in Harry. Well, tell us what you think about Ocon, Harry.
One's come out of the woodwork.
To be honest, when I saw Hülkenberg was being replaced, what was it, last year? I wasn't too upset about it because Hülkenberg came from F2. He was dominating the F2 scene, came in, and everyone thought Renault could at least get a podium. He obviously got quite close in Brazil, but never achieved that podium. And I think if you look at it, he really wasn't what Renault needed at the time. So when he got replaced with Ocon at the time was a replacement driver at Mercedes, you would have said, yeah, decent swap. Yeah. I mean, obviously looking back at it now, maybe not, maybe so, but...
Not all of us, but, it's all right. We move, it's fine.
Obviously some people don't see the same, but I can see the thought process into letting Hülkenberg go, especially when you got Danny Rick on a contract of 19 million.
And with Hülkenberg coming to renew his contract, he's going to want more, isn't he, Nath?
I think now that he's proved that if you put me in a Formula One seat, I will on basically no notice, no practice, no training, and I'll pull P3 from qualifying. He's basically laid down the gauntlet and said, "I'm here. Which one of you teams wants to pick me up?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being... he's not reserve driver material. He should be in a Formula One seat.
He is better than half of the grid, I reckon, at the moment.
I mean, he's aging now as well. He must be, mid-20s now?
Yeah, I think he's early 30s. He's aging, but he still deserves a seat.
He's not young enough to be a reserve driver, if you know what I mean. You get reserve drivers in there either.
He's too good. He's proved himself in Formula One so many times. Like you said, there's some drivers in Formula One where you just think Hülkenberg would be so much better in that seat.
You swap out Hülkenberg for most of the drivers on the... Not most of the drivers, that's a bit harsh. Most of the back-end drivers on the grid, and you'd probably say he could do a better job. And he's proven it. He's come in. I know Racing Point have got an amazing package this year, but he's come in and he's looked good considering he was, watching F1 on this settee a week ago.
I mean, especially when it's a team that he's not familiar with. I mean, he hasn't worked with that team. So.
Well, he used to drive for Force India back in the day, but that was many moons ago. Yeah, exactly.
Back in VJ days,
Yeah. So,
right.
Let's not mention it.
This week we are trying to dedicate less time to F1. Yeah. So we'll move on from Hülkenberg because I know we want to spend more time talking about the football. So let's move on. The next thing we want to talk about was, again, more Ferrari Vettel drama today.
That will win team that is now, that Scarlet Red is fading quick, boys. What is going on? What are they doing?
Put the reds in the wash with the whites.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest issue, Nathan?
Again, I think, it's like what we said last week. They're just dedicating too much time to making Charles's race look good. Like Vettel said, we spoke about this. I didn't want to be let out in this traffic.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you've done. He said, you messed up. And it just makes you think, like, it's nobody thinking about the decisions they're making with regards to Vettel's race. They know they're down on power. How do you expect them to get past 5 cars? If he came out in the front of that gap, he could easily defend those places because he is still a fantastic driver. And if he had, because there was quite a lot of clean air in front of that troop of cars. So I think, again, poor management from Ferrari. Poor management of Vettel's race from Ferrari again. And it must be frustrating. You got a poor car and your team's obviously favouring your teammates. So you just think, I can see exactly why Vettel's annoyed. Yeah. And we spent a lot of time talking about the Vettel-Ferrari dynamic.
But it's back-to-back weeks now that you've heard him. You heard him at the end. They had to literally force him to speak, essentially. He kept saying, radio check. And he was like, yeah, sorry, guy. Bad weekend, whatever. And then this week, he just sounded he sounded irate in that car. But he wasn't driving angry. He looked like he was just driving on.
He's tired. He looks tired. He looks like he's fed up with it.
What's your input on the beef, Harry?
Well, it's the fact that there's such a disparity between Vettel and Leclerc. You've got Leclerc driving. He was up in second. He was second for driver of the day today, wasn't he? He had a fantastic race. I think he moved up 4 or 5 positions on the grid. But in comparison, at the end of the first lap, you got Vettel down in 20th. It's the complete disparity is incredible, and how there hasn't been a solution to that problem yet. Obviously, you've got Vettel leaving and Sainz coming in, but Carlos Sainz must be looking at this and thinking, what team am I going to get? Am I going to get a Charles Leclerc or am I going to get a Sebastian Vettel?
I agree with you completely. I mentioned that Sainz is leaving one of the hot seats of F1 at the moment. And McLaren's become one of them teams that everyone wants to drive at the moment, and he's going into a kind of a toxic seat, really. Yeah. And you've got Danny Rick must be rubbing his hands together going to McLaren. But well, let's talk a bit about Red Bull. Let's move. Do you want to move on?
Just one sec. Going back to the Leclerc and Vettel. I know Vettel does what Vettel does. He spun without anyone touching him again. I know it's not his fault. This might be the downforce or whatever. But he's finished over 50 seconds behind Leclerc, who's on old tyres. That's not... he is not an eight. He's not 50 seconds and 8 places behind Leclerc in terms of talent.
No. And you can say what you want about the fact that I mean we've mentioned this. He's probably his confidence is down. Nobody will want to drive in an environment like that. But I don't think I agree. I don't think 50 seconds is a realistic that you can blame solely on the driver.
No,
not in this day and age of F1.
No. Anyway, moving on. Well, it's finally happened. Mercedes haven't won a race.
Dethroned.
Yes.
Imagine the day.
Imagine that. Well. It was just great strategy, wasn't it? Christian Horner, Adrian Newey, everyone.
Well, like I said, I've spoke about the Formula One group chat quite a few times on the podcast. Yeah. And, we spoke about whether any teams would go for a one-stop. And it did look initially like Red Bull were going to try for a one-stop. And, coming out on the tyres that they did, aiming for a one-stop. It worked really well. And... It was the strategy that won today's race.
Yeah. Hannah Schmitz, the strategist at Red Bull, has pulled an absolute rabbit out of the hat there. They've gone out, they've made Max qualify his quickest lap on hards, which everyone else is on mediums. People were like, well, here we go. And like you said in the group chat, one of our friends was like, well, this is what Red Bull do. They'll throw a spanner in the works.
Take a risk.
It's a strategy.
And it's worked. And yet again, the Mercedes tyre degradation...
Yeah, really dreadful. I don't know what, higher track temp, and I guess it's one of those things that comes with running a higher downforce setup. Is your tires will probably degrade faster than, because they run a very high downforce,
especially setup. At a track like Silverstone.
You need a lot of downforce, but when you're running so much more downforce, because they've just one of these teams that's got the aero completely right. But, it's going to, more pressure on the tyres. They're going to deg faster. But whether they deg to the extent that they did today, because, they come out 5 laps later, you go, they look dreadful.
Yeah. And we were looking at it all through the race, and we all said, Max's tyres looked like they'd just been put on.
Yeah.
Whereas,
no degradation, no.
within half the time,
even more than
Mercs
that,
fell off.
if you look back at it, you look at it and you say, well, Albon also had a fantastic race.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
Red Bull's strategy obviously worked for both drivers, but even past that, the car looked brilliant.
Yeah.
I personally think that's more a reflection on how good of a driver Albon is.
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic.
The strat was great for both drivers, don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of people always have a lot of words to say about Max, but in reality, you've got to hand it to him today. He managed to manage his tyres very well while staying within 2 seconds.
Well, he pitted first, didn't he? Lap 7 or 8, and
Albon did.
He's gone from 9th to 5th. It's a brilliant result for him. He's finally looks like he's in tune with the car, and he's actually there, and he's actually sticking it on the road, which is great to see.
The other point is that I know Nathan made the point earlier, and I wanted to bring it back up to hear his thoughts on it again about the racing line that Max Verstappen takes. I think it's a very nice point. So.
I can't remember the exact video. No, the video I watched about Max Verstappen's racing line. It is out there on YouTube. You should definitely go and watch it. There's quite a good series about the way that the drivers drive, and that they mentioned there that Max Verstappen takes quite a square racing line compared to some of the other drivers. So, that he turns a lot, he brakes a lot later into a lot of corners, and he spends less time actually in the corner. So whether that's something that helped him today, I couldn't really comment as I'm not a race coach, but yeah.
Yeah.
But we already spoke a bit about Merc. Would you say it's probably a combination of not poor strategy, but they didn't get the strategy on point today.
Well, yet again, I
think it's more a case of Red Bull's strategy, which is better.
Yeah. And they had a lot of issues with the tyres.
A risk paid off.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
And like you were alluding to whilst we were watching it, you had the facts that Pirelli brought out about the cops corner.
They actually. It's on the Formula One YouTube channel if anyone would like to check it out. Pirelli did a little segment about what they think had gone wrong with the tyres, because obviously we saw, we haven't seen many races like that where there's complete tyre failure on multiple cars, and it was all front left tyres. And basically they said that some of the cars going through COPs this is just on the front left, this is not spread throughout the car, 1,300 kilos of downforce going through just the front left, and that was what caused the tyre wall to separate from the rest of the tyre.
Yeah, because it wasn't shredding like you see when the tyres completely wear away.
It wasn't like a puncture. It was just the fact that the join between the tyre wall and the rest of the tyre just completely came apart.
I think the only thing we have to say at this point is bring back Bridgestone.
No, I think.
Basically, what they said they'd done.
More fun.
What Pirelli said they'd done for this race was soften up the tyres a bit, and they'd increase the PSI in the tyres. I'm not exactly sure what kind of effect increasing the PSI would have had, but that is, and we didn't see any tyre failures today. We saw a lot of tyres degrading, but we didn't see any catastrophic failures.
And it was
that could be heat the track as well. 55 degrees on track is obviously the way a tyre is faster than anywhere else.
It's for Silverstone where you need high, but again, it was the same culprits, and you can tell which ones were running high downforce because it was the McLarens tyres were looking terrible. Renault, I know they didn't get a tyre failure last week, but their tyres looked really bad. Points.
That might just be Ocon, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, it might just be Ocon. And Merc, again, like this, it wasn't the best race for Mercedes, but again, I don't think they're going to complain too much. The lowest they finished
2-3.
Yeah,
2-3 finish. I think they'll be happy with that.
They're still going to win the constructors. Hamilton's probably still going to win the. Great charge from him on the.
Definitely.
Fair play to him. Again, just.
Can either of you see Bottas pulling back the championship? I can't.
I just think, I don't know what has happened to Lewis Hamilton this year, but some of the performances he's put in have been just breathtakingly good.
Yeah.
When he's just pulling fastest laps out of absolutely nowhere in qualifying and just decimating the rest of the field.
Yeah. I think we don't give him enough credit because we're numb. He is. Yeah, we're numb to it now because we've seen this for years.
It is the efficiency of the man is also made it the normality. It's just. Yeah. How efficient he is at completing races and finishing top 3.
Well, that's what you said in the race, I think, Harry. Yeah. When you said if he doesn't crash and finish the race, where he finishes is just so
top
good.
2. Yeah, it's top 2, top 3. If he doesn't get on the podium, it's because he's crashed.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
We've never seen anything like this since Michael. Like I know you had Vettel, but you had that for 4 years. This is like 8 years of just dominance.
It is dominance. It's dominance in a car that's dominant, but even prior to that,
he makes it good. And it's good to see Verstappen get on the top step. It's nice to break it up a little bit. I mean, I think as much as we all like Hamilton, we don't want him to we don't want him.
You
to
just
every
like, you
time.
like to see a
You want to see a
competitive
bit of
sport
race.
more
Yeah,
than anything.
exactly. And this is
that's where I think some of the 2022 regulations, which we won't get into this episode, some of the 2022 regulations will hopefully make it a bit more of a level playing field.
Yeah.
Anything else Formula One anyone wants to talk on? I think there was quite a few things
I
would like to speak about, but obviously we're going to try and dedicate a bit more time to
I think we should just
today.
finish on the biggest drama of the weekend, which was the Racing Point brake ducts.
Oh, yeah.
That they got, that they got fined for, and they got deducted 15 points. And
points.
So now they've dropped back even further, but I think they've regained it now due to where they finish in the race. I think they're back above Ferrari.
Isn't there an appeal? There's an appeal against that points being.
Yes,
I think a couple of teams have supported their appeal. As well.
The 4 teams.
You can see why.
Yeah,
you can see why.
The 4 teams that have appealed the fines and everything that the judgment they've passed down were Ferrari, McLaren, Renault again, and Williams. They've all appealed, and then Lance Stroll and Racing Point have said, well, no, we think it's too harsh. So they've re-appealed it, and to make sure they've done nothing wrong.
If I try and explain it, if you can tell me if I've got this right. So basically, from what I understand of this issue, is that did they buy the parts from Mercedes in terms of brake ducts? Did they purchase those? So last year they purchased those parts from Mercedes when they weren't a listed part. And is that rule been recently changed for this year, where they are now listed parts and have to be produced completely in house?
Yeah, I think
reproduced from pictures only.
I think they were.
I think it's design based. They bought the designs. Yeah.
I think they bought the designs, and they did change them a bit because they said there was, they have changed them slightly, but
but that could be like a different screw to a different screw. It could
be
they could just most minute thing.
Move something a millimeter, but
exactly.
It's. To be honest, where do you sit on this issue? I think it's fair how it is. I think we're too far into this. We haven't got we don't know what's going on with the rest of this. Well, we know roughly what's going on.
I think that rule is ambiguous because from what I've seen, the FIA said, if they'd come to us, we would have helped them do it in a legal way. When you think if that's the case, then the rule is too ambiguous. If teams are interpreting it as what they've done as legal, because some teams are completely supporting the fact that what they've done is legal, and I think that rule is a bit too ambiguous, and I think the punishment for Racing Point may be a bit harsh. I think a warning or clarification of the rule for future years would be a more fair punishment.
Should have been a slap on the wrist.
Well, because Mercedes, so they got the parts are from 2018 or something. That's when the agreement first came in. So they'd supply the suspension parts, the gearbox, and the engine, and basically everything that came along with it. So they are essentially like with how AlphaTauri are with Red Bull. They're basically like a B team, realistically. And then it's something over the back brake ducts, isn't it? And there's something with how that they're exactly the same and from last year's car. So people think that they've just stolen them, but they've supplied them. So it's like I said, it's ambiguous, but I think
there's not enough clarification in order to make that judgment in the first place.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree.
I think, to be honest, it's going to be interesting to see what comes of these appeals and fines and if there's more. But I think they should just leave it now.
Yeah, I agree.
With all this uncertainty going on in the world, I think just let them race. It's a part that has it given them that much of an advantage? That's also what you've got to figure out is how
good was the car before they got put in.
Exactly.
How much difference is a brake duct going to make?
Exactly. I think that's what's kind of hard for people to really gauge is if they take it off, because they're allowing them to keep it at the moment.
I think that's the correct decision.
But I don't see how you can deduct points from someone and then say, okay, we've taken the points off you, but carry on doing what we think is illegal.
Because they haven't
either remove the part and don't give them the points, or take the points and the part.
That's probably a fair point. It's like I said, it's really hard to really nail down what is the right course of action on this, because we haven't seen something like this for a while. If anything, we haven't seen something like this before. So but anyway,
we are exactly on time for our finish, for the limit that we set ourselves.
That's a shock for us, mate.
So, Evan, take a dive to the left and join me in the slip cordon.
It's three slips in your corner this time, mate.
We're all going to fit in.
Yeah. Silly me off, mate. Silly me off.
Yeah. We've just seen yesterday the wrap-up of the first test between England and Pakistan. Great test. Really entertaining test match. Gotta say, absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed watching it.
Good weather.
It was yeah. At least most of it wasn't rained off. But,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was a great test match. You know, really came down to the last day. No, it was actually not the last day, but
the last innings,
the last and it was fantastic. Really exciting. Some great performances.
You were impressed by both teams, like
I think there were some really, really good performances from both teams.
Yeah, who would you really highlight from Pakistan then? Was a standout for you?
Shan Masood's 100 in the first innings, beautiful 100, really well worked, or 160 I think he had, but it was very well constructed 100. Really, you know, him and Babar Azam. He had in the 60s. I can't remember the exact score, but he had a useful 60, and those two really gave their side, because that's what you need in Test cricket. You need someone who will bat a big score and bat for a whole innings, which was what Shan Masood did for Pakistan in that Test.
Looked like they really adapted well to the conditions in England.
Yeah, and I think like their bowling attack really suits English conditions.
Yeah,
and because they have got some absolutely amazing bowling talent.
Well, you were highlighted Yashir Shah, didn't you?
Yeah, well, he had a fantastic performance in both innings. 4 wickets in both innings. And I think like that's one of the advantages that Pakistan have over England is they've got 2 wrist spinners.
Oh, right.
And they've got 2 leg spinners, 2 very competent leg spinners. And I think when the wicket is several hundred overs old and it's cracking up and it's boiling hot, you can make use of that wicket much more effectively. There's a lot more variation, a lot more bounce from flighty wrist spinners than you get from off spinners. Because England have got Don Best. Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic bowler, but I think one of the things I would like to see England improve in terms of their team selection as we go throughout the season is I would like to see a good wrist spinner in the English team.
Yeah. Who was the last one? Who was the last great wrist spinner that they had?
They had Adil Rashid was a great spinner. Yeah. He was really good. So I'm not saying I think it should be Rashid, but I think they need to look at to try and find
variation.
a good because that's one thing that having a wrist spinner gets you, because obviously the off spinner really they got the knuckleball and they've got the off break. I mean there are variations, but unless you've got a world class off spinner in your team, you can't get people bowling the doosra and the ball out the back of the hand.
The doosra.
Null and void,
But like that variation that you get with a leg spin, they got the googly, they got the flipper, they got the one that goes straight on.
Yeah,
and that's what you get. And I think Yasir Shah showed how effective wrist spinners can be on English pitches. So I would like to see. I think he's a fantastic bowler, and I think there will be more of him to come. But yeah, Stuart Broad was another one. He was fantastic. 3 wickets in both innings. Once again, proving that he did not deserve to be left out of that first Test side.
Still a crime. Still criminal.
He was
the
fantastic.
Hulkenberg of cricket, mate. Honestly, criminal.
Yeah, I think. And in terms of England's batting performances in the first innings, Ollie Pope had a nice 60, little cameo.
Quiet week. Sorry for Stokesy.
Yeah, quite quiet. And actually, one thing I will say is just been announced that he's going to be sitting out the rest of the series because of family problems. So he's had to fly back to New Zealand. So I hope all's well there. Yes. I think all the English cricket fans would send the best to Ben Stokes.
Yeah, we hope.
But yeah, I think Joe Root had a nice little 40. I don't know what's going on with Root at the moment because he can't seem to find his rhythm. Because normally when Root gets set, and you can see, he's got his eye in, and once he gets past a certain point, he can kind of almost cruise his way to 100, and he bats his side into the game. And currently, at the moment, he's not doing that. But Butler and Wokes saved the first Test for England. They really did. Their bowling performance was very good. That 3 wickets from Broad was very helpful in the second innings. But England were on the precipice, and before Butler and Wokes came in, the Sky Sports had their analytics up, and there was an 84% chance of Pakistan winning the game. When Butler and Wokes had built up a bit of a partnership, it swung completely the opposite direction, and it was 84% that England were going to win the game. So I think the Butler and Wokes partnership, Wokes proving again that he deserves to be in this side, and Butler, after a very quiet couple of seasons from Butler, I'm glad that he's managed to put in a game-winning performance for England, because when he bats his natural game, I think that's why I said batting him at that spot in the order is good. I think because if he comes in and he's got a good base, he can just play his natural game. But he's also the last bastion before him and Wokes before you get into the proper tail end. Bit
of a clutch player,
he can win a game for you. If he needs to, and he's got on his good days, he will win a game for you.
Well, we almost got a bit too bullish too early yet again with England, as you do. You're like, oh, okay, they only need 200 runs. They should be able to do this, and then it started falling, and you were like, oh no, here we go again.
Well, it pretty much free-falled until Butler and
which is weird.
Wokes
Normally,
came in.
Butler's not normally that calming influence. Normally, he's the...
Well, I think that's
He
what
gets skilled a bit.
what I liked from Butler in that innings was he just played his natural game.
Yeah.
He didn't do some test players restrain themselves a lot. Butler's a naturally very aggressive player. So for him to come in and just block the ball, it would have been pointless because he's just going to get himself out because he likes playing at the wide ball outside the off stump. So if he just comes in and starts blocking at everything just because it's test cricket, he's gonna get out.
Yeah.
I think he proved that. He went after the loose ball and he played it very well through the offside, through the covers. And that's another thing. He played what the standout for me from that partnership was how well they played the spin of Yasir Shah and Shadab Khan, because they are very accomplished leg spinners. We've seen that in 2016 when Yasir Shah single-handedly took all 10 wickets in an innings.
Yeah.
He is that good. And Butler, he didn't play. The sweep shot is very tempting. Butler and Wokes both like to play that shot, but playing against the spin of someone like Yasir Shah, you're just going to get out because he turns the ball so much. So Butler played with the spin. He made very good use of the reverse sweep, which is a tricky shot.
It is.
And it's not all players are confident enough to play it, but Butler, he brought it out pretty much in every over that Yasir Shah bowled. He brought it out at least once, hitting with the spin, hitting the loose ball, played it very well, leaving balls outside the leg stump, just padding it rather than playing at it. I gotta say, Butler and played spin. It was absolutely marvellous to watch him play. He really did play it very well.
A lot better to see him playing spin like that. It's normally he's very, like I said, very passive against it.
Yeah.
He tends to get out quite a bit. Spin.
A good leg spinner will literally run completely through a side,
especially in England.
Especially once you get into the tail end. Yeah. So if Butler or Wokes had got out, and Broad came in and hit a useful 20, but if they got out before that partnership was built, Yasir Shah and Shadab Khan would have run rampant. They would have run rampant. They would have completely decimated England's tail end. They really would have.
I think the question I have is, have you seen any glaring differences, obviously with the inclusion of Broad, but any glaring differences between the West Indies test and this Pakistan test?
Yeah, I think for me, I think England. I said on the last episode that England would have a lot more problems with Pakistan than they did with the West Indies, and I think that kind of showed. And I highlighted a few players that were world class. Babar Azam is world class, and he will present England problems. If Babar Azam doesn't get 100 in this test year, I will be gobsmacked. His averages in Test cricket are absolutely nuts, and. Right. He is just that good. And Yasir Shah's another one. I think the two young seam bowlers look very good. I'm surprised they didn't take more wickets. I think we'll see a lot of wickets to come from them. That's what I liked about their actions are very fluid. Of Afridi and Naseem Shah. They've got that really nice, wristy seam bowler action, just gets very nice bounce and skid off the wicket. And I actually do think they bowl very well. I think in the second innings, the partnership of Wokes and Butler, they just batted very well. That for me. And I think England, again, they, like you said, they wobbled, and we thought, oh god, here we go again. This is the West Indies all over again. The first test. But I think it's going to be a very evenly matched test series, and I think we could see a lot more of these tight finishes.
Looking forward to it. Yes,
I am indeed.
Right, let's take a little
lovely bit of cricket summer.
Love it. Nothing better than cricket in the summer, is there?
No, it is really. I do love watching cricket.
I know you love it. You live for it, mate.
Shall we move on to NBA? Should we do
yes,
NBA?
let's take a trip across the pond.
Indeed.
Dip our toes.
Yeah, across the Atlantic. Let's go. Here we are, boys.
I watched my first NBA game.
Did you?
Properly watched one.
How was
this
it?
week. I enjoyed it, man. It's really,
I love the fact it's so end to end.
It's a really fun sport to watch.
Mate.
It's a great spectator sport.
Yeah.
Because that's why some people say, I don't like Test cricket and I don't like Formula 1 because it's too long and you have to learn too much about strategy and how things work. But NBA is one of the sports you can just chuck on and go, this is cool.
Yeah.
You're normally gonna see something that will excite you. Be like, oh wow, okay, these people are just different. These are freaks of athletes.
And unlike the majority of American sports, it's not stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. It's a very fast-paced game.
Especially compared to football,
American football, baseball,
NFL we love, but it's
but
it's a 60-minute game. The ball's
like Nate said,
spectator
sport.
Balls in play for 9 to 11 minutes in a game, a 60-minute game. A fifth of it, the ball's not actually being touched by anyone apart from the refs. So anyway, moving on.
Unless the refs are pretty stacked and start running through the team.
I watched the Kings and Pelicans.
Yes,
game.
so you watched the playoff chasing Pelicans.
I did enjoy it.
Well, they have not played well in this bubble. They have come out and compared to someone like the Phoenix Suns, who are 5-0 behind Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton.
I think the guy that stood out for the Pelicans was Zion Williamson.
Yes, Zion.
I did have a look into him because he was really. I thought that guy is kind of good, you know.
But yeah, well, he was the number one pick. He obviously came in with knee problems. He had to sit out most of the season, sit out most of his rookie year, and he's come back and he looks like a force that he was in college at Duke. And he looks like he's gelled really well with Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram and JJ Redick. And they've got a good mix of vets and young players. Considering they got rid of Anthony Davis to the Lakers, it's been a good recovery, but they're not playing good basketball.
Do you want to hear my take on why they lost that game as a complete novice?
Yes.
As in, I know nothing about basketball strategy
or
anything like that, but they both... I think with the Kings, when they got into point scoring positions, they seemed to just score. I know that might sound very dumb, but they didn't. They
took better percentage shots.
And I think when the Pelicans were in point scoring territories, they just seemed to screw it up.
Well, the Kings,
they either missed or they were in a good position to score, and then they either gave away possession or some other means of the ball.
They're looking very sloppy when they actually get into...
I think sloppy was a good word for it.
Yeah, when they get into their offensive sets, they're looking very sloppy, which you wouldn't expect from a team that's got quite a decent bit of attacking talent. But yeah, like you look at the game, Harrison Barnes was good, but like Bojan Bogdanovic with 35 points is incredible. De'Aaron Fox, great young guard.
Well, I think they said the first quarter there was a lot of points in the first quarter, a lot of points scored.
Well, I think the Sacramento Kings set a record for the most amount of points to score in a quarter because they got 49.
Yeah, I think they said
1 quarter.
Yeah, a score of 49 to 39 in 1 quarter is ridiculous. Like that used to be some halves of basketball. It's got a lot more scoring now, but yeah, I think the Pelicans they don't look right. I don't know if it's the minute restriction they've still got on Zion Williamson this late into his career. This late into his rookie year, they've still got him with all the time off he's had and all the injuries and surgeries. He's still on a minute restriction. I don't know if that's the coaching, if they're really trying to protect him because as you've seen, he's a big boy. He's got a lot of muscle and he's got a lot of weight on that frame.
Really, when you look at it, it could be a case of obviously with the time off. Although you have an injury and you train it and you train it and you train it, it's not the same as a competitive scene.
Yeah, you might be right.
So even though they've had all that time off, in reality, the amount of effort he's put into that, obviously he's going to be working hard to try and get back to a decent level, but it'll never be the same as the competitive scene.
Similar injury to you.
Exactly. So it's kind of as soon as you're back on a competitive scene, you can kind of grow back in terms. It's match fitness more than anything. Yeah. The training is so much
contact. It's a semi-contact sport, but up and down on that knee will be good for
it.
I
think adrenaline as well. It's just it can drive you forward, So,
but I think as a novice of basketball, I just think it always like when the Kings got into scoring territories, they looked clean and they were happy to take chances and go for points, whereas when the Pelicans got into scoring territory, they just kind of looked a bit like, well, what do we do here? And like when people were taking shots, they just didn't look very confident. And Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from the Pelicans and Kings, moving on to, well, the Slovenian Reaper, I call him. It is Luka Doncic, the absolute hero. He has been on an absolute tear since he's come back. Don't get me wrong, he's not shooting as efficiently as he could, because that's what he does. He'll jack up shots. But honestly, his game that he played last night against Milwaukee was unbelievable. He absolutely ripped them to shreds. And I know they won in overtime, but he got 36 points, he got 14 rebounds, and he got 19 assists. He's set a career high in assists.
Yeah, that's big numbers.
He's got the most assists, most triple doubles at his age. He got more than Magic Johnson at this age. He's playing out of his mind right now. He's had 3 triple doubles since he's been back. The other night he had a 34, 20, and 12 triple double. He is honestly one of the players to watch for the future. He will be a future MVP. And if you want to watch anything this week, if you're a novice or even a veteran,
take a recommendation.
Watch his highlights against Milwaukee, and it's the final assist that he made to Kleber coming down the lane. He literally, with the game on the line, he dribbles straight and then chucks it between his legs into the lane to win the game. Essentially, it's unbelievable, and he's been playing amazing. So I hope the Mavericks, they got a tough series. It looks like they'll have to play the Clippers, who so far look like the favourites to take the title. So they may be able to take 1 or 2 games. I don't think they'll win the series, but it's looking more promising for the Mavericks' future now that they've got Luka. Big up Luka. And finally, to finish off the little North American jaunt that we've taken again, I just want to make a special mention to the Vancouver Canucks, who we
might as well turn into a Vancouver Canucks podcast.
I mean, honestly,
I'm actually going to lie, but I was a Colorado Avalanche fan.
Well,
and I saw those lose against the Golden Knights yesterday.
Yeah,
moving on from the NHL would probably be a better move for me right now.
Yeah, that's fine, because this is all about the Canucks, baby. We're going. It was great to see. They had a very tough series against the Minnesota Wild, who they're a good team and they play the Canucks very well, but the Canucks won the series 3-1 in the elimination, so they now qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they won the final game 5-4 in overtime, but it only took them 11 seconds in overtime to get the winner, which is ridiculously quick. But the Wild played very aggressive against the Canucks. They were roughing them up. They were really trying to get after them. I know hockey's a rough sport, but they were really going for it. And the Canucks, again, they just, on the power play, their power play attack looks phenomenal right now. Besser, Miller, even Bo Horvat, and obviously Pettersson, who's Pettersson's next level. And I think we don't know who they're going to face in the next round, but it's promising, and I think they could make a little run. They're not going to go all the way. Don't get me wrong. That's not going to happen. But they've got a chance to at least make some noise, and they've got a good young team that in the future we may be seeing this team lift the fabled Stanley Cup and the big trophy. Well, one mention, Edmonton, absolutely, the bed. I know you cut that out. Absolutely the bed against the Chicago Blackhawks of all teams. Edmonton were one of the teams that could have made a little title challenge, but that wasn't to be. Lost to the last seed, the 12th seed in the West.
Yeah,
so
I think Blackhawks were down bottom of their conference.
They were literally the last team that qualified.
The Wild, funny enough.
Yeah, so it's sad to see, but they're our rivals, and Seattle will be our rivals next year. The Seattle Kraken is the new team coming into the NHL.
I'd love to name that. Have a sponsor after a rumba.
To be fair, that is a cool name.
Don't give him too much praise to Seattle, mate. But anyway, I think that concludes our little.
Let's move on to the segment that I know a lot of people have wanted to see more of. We got about 20-ish minutes left, so I thought maybe we could do the last 20 minutes and talk about the football.
So,
I thought we'd go Champions League.
Yes, because
let's recap on what's happened so far and what's coming up now.
What's this fresh
I
in our
know
minds?
You two want to do your team of the season.
Yeah, we probably have different team of the seasons. I know Harry's a very strong-minded person in football, so
I'm a bit of a hipster when it comes to the football team of the seasons.
I'm just going to say right now, I will probably take a sit back for this next 20 minutes. So see you in the next one.
Well, so I think we should start in the Champions League with the team that I think are going to win it, and I think they're looking imperious right now.
Looking a force.
Robert Lewandowski and Bayern Munich are ripping up the league since they've got rid of Niko Kovac.
I will say one more thing.
Yes.
How good he's in his prime, considering he's 31.
Yeah.
He's
Robert Lewandowski.
He's in his prime. I know. I was speaking to someone about this the other day, and they said, that was considered old for a striker a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, you look at Messi and Ronaldo.
They're in their primes. Yeah,
it's physical peaks now. It's completely changing. But I think on the Robert Lewandowski, just before you get into it, I think it's a very sad time actually that the Ballon d'Or's been cancelled this year, because I honest to God think Robert Lewandowski would be in with a shout of it. He is proving to be a sensational striker, not only in the Bundesliga but across Europe. And
I'll always rue the fact that Man United didn't just chuck all the money that we had at him when he was leaving Dortmund. I know he wanted to go to Bayern.
He nearly joined Blackburn back in 2008, but because of the Icelandic volcano that put the ash and stopped the flights, Robert Lewandowski never joined Blackburn.
Never actually got on a plane.
So that's why we never see him in Blackburn, but living up in Munich instead. I know where I'd rather be.
Blackburn. No, but obviously. No, they are looking. They absolutely dismantled Chelsea. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know it's a fledgling career of Chelsea right now, but
it's not the Chelsea that we know, but it's a Chelsea that at the beginning of the season, if you said they're getting top 4 at the end, you'd be like, well.
I said 8th.
What an impressive,
I'll be honest. I said 8th. I thought they'd finish 8th. I don't think they'd.
I saw them achieving top 4, but that's purely because it's Frank Lampard first season back at Chelsea.
He also didn't have a bad squad.
Everyone's saying they had a bad squad,
but they didn't. They still had a top 4 team.
I mean, I'm one of those people that doesn't rate Hazard as much as other people do.
I'm with you.
What people were saying was that the young players coming through weren't up to the standard, and you can't say that on the judgment of the fact they've been loaned out to Vitesse Arnhem for 3 years. At the end of the day, when they come into the league, they might be absolutely incredible. So, although they got dismantled by Bayern, I still think they have a positive future ahead of them.
I think it's good that they got top 4, provided that Wolves don't win the Europa. They'll be all right, because then they get knocked out, don't they? I'm pretty sure.
I believe. No, I still believe that. No, they still believe they get.
Oh yeah, no, they would, because United did it, didn't they?
Yeah,
when United won.
They'd still get the
chance. Just so you know, Nath, Vitesse are like Racing Point. Basically, they literally
Chelsea loan out every player they have to them.
It's a feeder club. So I'm growing more and more confident in my Bayern Munich pick that I said to you.
The issue I've got with Bayern Munich winning the Champions League is a bit of a strange one. I think they're absolutely dominant. I think they're a very good team. But the only real tasks we've seen them have were Dortmund when the restart came in.
Yeah.
And they won that 1-0 to a beautiful Joshua Kimmich goal.
That was lovely.
But apart from that,
it was a bit of a mistake from Roman Berkey, but we'll leave it.
But, I mean,
it was a beautiful
goal.
delicious ship, yeah.
But apart from that, you could say, okay, the other teams in the Bundesliga weren't up to scratch, especially with Leipzig losing Werner, and he may not have been playing as well as he could have been for them. But beyond that, obviously you got Chelsea now, but Chelsea, as we've spoken about, are not what their former glory was.
Well, they've fed off London clubs this year. They ripped Tottenham apart.
And I think beyond that, it's the youthful and inexperience at such a high level for Bayern Munich. I mean, everyone probably looks at it and says, yeah, but they got stalwarts like Boateng, Neuer, but Boateng's obviously he's getting dropped soon.
He's in and out, and you got Nico Sulu coming in.
Sulu's not been at that high of a level before. Alaba at centre back is a bit of a weak link. Alfonso Davies is only 18.
He's a player who's kind of one of those ones that is just going to be bloviated about and is always going to be, because of how quick he is. He's amazing.
I think amazing. Give him 5 years, he'd be one of the best left backs in the world.
He's one of those guys who's going to develop.
I'd love to see him in the Conte system, the 3-4-3 kind of formation.
Anyway, so let's move on to the two teams that one you think are going to win it, and the other one that is your team. So Man City.
I think it's Man City's lose. I really do. I think the way that they dismantled Real Madrid and made a team that have come from winning the Spanish league last week. That's La Liga. That's beating some of the best teams in the world currently in Atleti and Barcelona.
Yeah. Well,
to then go into the Etihad and look in the shell of them. Obviously, there's no Ramos.
Yeah, I think Ramos played a bigger factor than most people.
Yeah, I think losing Ramos is as big as as Juventus using Ronaldo. It's huge.
Or Liverpool with Van Dijk. at the back, you notice when
It's
Van
that
Dijk's
tier.
not there. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's that tier.
Varane, I think he's a great defender, Varane, but when he hasn't got Ramos by the side of him, he looks like a different player.
He had to almost hold all of that pressure.
Yeah.
I think it's very upsetting that I think after group stages they should remove yellow cards and you kind of restart. You restart rather than suspensions.
Because you've already had 6 games.
Yeah, if you've got a red card at the end of the group stage, maybe serve a suspension. But if you build up yellow cards across the group stage, remove them. Ramos has missed out on probably one of the last Champions League campaigns that he'll have. Probably maybe he's got 3-4 left in him.
A decent chance
of winning the Champions League, and it's been removed because he's had a suspension. And obviously it was a
it's Ramos.
tackle, but
Ramos. What do you expect?
that could be a young player at the age of 19 going into the Champions League final.
Yeah,
and it'll never happen for him. He might not get that chance again.
It's like we all remember Wales with Belgium
Ramsey.
when Ramsey got the yellow card. That's in a quarter final. How can you justify having it that long into a thing? But so Man City.
So I think Man City's to lose. I think De Bruyne is arguably the best midfielder in the world at the moment. Even probably top 5 player in the world.
I would be hard pressed to argue against that, to be honest.
I think he's
clearly the best player in the Premier League.
He's Premier League player of the season for me.
Easily. I guess one thing out
Gabriel
of the way
Jesus is backfiring. Raheem Sterling looks lightning fast on the wing. They've lost Sane, but if anything, he was a bit of a
Raheem
drag.
Sterling's just an upgrade on Pep's system of what Pedro used to do. He's just that winger who cuts in and just finishes off tap-ins.
I think Sterling's got a bit more to him, but Pedro did the basics better.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's an upgrade. He's a bigger. Don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing Pedro and Sterling as players.
You could, though.
As talent. You could.
One of them's a World Cup winner and a Champions League winner.
Right, exactly. But in the system, what I mean is for Pep, Sterling emulates and embodies what Pep wants in a winger.
Yeah.
He'll do the dirty work and then he'll also score tap-ins, which I know he can also finish from outside the box. Don't get me wrong, but most of his goals, they're penalty spotted in.
Yeah. I think the other thing people need to realise is the City we saw at the beginning of the season and going into January, where they lost the league for me, because obviously they were challenging league title, but they lost the league when they didn't have Laporte.
Yeah.
Now Laporte's back. You've got Fernandinho could play in that CDM role properly.
Or the centre-back.
Or centre-back. But really you kind of want 2 centre-backs in Laporte and probably not Otamendi.
This is the problem, though. They haven't really got a second centre-back. But now
Garcia.
Now they've got Ake.
And they got Ake, and Garcia's looking a very good young
But he don't want to be there anymore. He said he wants to leave. They come out.
If you've just bought Nathan Ake, then
exactly, you've basically just replaced like for like.
But yeah, I think it's there to lose.
Okay, and obviously your team, Barca.
Yeah, they may have won 3-1 yesterday, but I watched the game. The first half, it was a messy show as always. Picking up the ball on that right wing, cutting in. That second goal was just pure perseverance.
Messi's got the team on his back.
Exactly, it has come down to that, and you can watch him. I mean, even that
like
second
Nathan's
half.
search.
Yeah, there's Nathan's input for the football.
Yeah.
But looking into that second half, Messi looked tired. He looked really tired. He looks like he don't want to be there anymore. I think he'll last another year at Barcelona before. Probably goes back to Argentina or China. I don't think he'll go Europe.
He won't go China.
I don't think he'll go Europe.
I think there's only one club he'll go to, and that's Newell's.
Yeah, it's Newell's.
If he don't go to Newell's,
I agree.
I think
maybe MLS, maybe Japan, but
I can't see him going. I can't see him
no
playing
one's gonna have
late
the
like
money
that.
to pay for it.
No, and I don't think he's that interested in ruining his career and his legacy.
I don't either.
He loves Newell's. He might go back to Newell's Old Boys. I think that's. I don't
think he'll go elsewhere in Europe. Maybe Man City.
Maybe, but
that's the only other place I could vision purely for Pep and the fact that Ronaldo did Man United. That's the only reason.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Speaking of Ronaldo, shock exit for Juventus.
It wasn't. I watched them play and I thought, dreadful. When they sacked Sarri, I felt sorry for him because obviously he's a quality manager.
We saw
what he did at Napoli. We won Europa League at Chelsea. Great manager.
I think for me the problem with anyone taking the team with Ronaldo, kind of a bit with Messi, but more so with Ronaldo, is you play to Ronaldo. Yeah. If you don't win with Ronaldo, you're getting fired because they've paid so much for him. You've got Ronaldo, so there's the built-in excuses.
That's the issue with Ronaldo is if you've got Ronaldo in your team, you have to play through Ronaldo.
Exactly.
You have to. There's no other way of playing. No. But also that Juve team, it's that midfield that needs to be rebuilt. Well, not rebuilt, but obviously.
But it's not the same since it was Pirlo, Marquisio.
But they got Bentancur, who's obviously 1920.
He looks quality.
Young as anything. Rabiot, who hasn't played a full season of football in God knows how long. Quality player, but
played what,
They've got
4
all the
games
pieces.
at PSG.
They've got like Dybala. They've got all the pieces. I think Ronaldo's holding them back.
It's experience. I think Ramsey's a great addition for him. I think he should be playing more. But the rest of that midfield is a bit too young for challenging for Champions League at the moment.
No.
Maybe Pirlo coming in makes them an absolute quality team, but
maybe might have a Frank Lampard effect on them. You never know.
Honestly, I don't think people realize the impact a club legend can have. It's the history they bring, how much they can say something.
And that's across sports.
That's exactly. Hey, we see it with Alonso going back to Renault. You know, the interest he could bring back to Renault is. It could be incredible. For the next 2 years, they're probably rebuilding, get Alonso. But anyway.
Yeah. There's club legends, and then you got Ollie who's gone back. But anyway, I love Ollie.
That's a bench legend, mate. That's a bench legend.
He's a super sub, mate. I love him, but
he was the original Jermaine Defoe. You know?
Anyway, so I thought we'd just finish off football quickly by running through who we would have in our team.
Do you run over the quick next games? Like if you have to go through the next games, just pick your pick.
Yeah. That's fine.
Just take your pick. So if I go Atalanta Paris, are you picking?
Paris?
You're picking
even
Paris?
Without Mbappe, I think Paris. They've got too much. I know
what
Atlanta.
Aggregate are you going?
I don't think it's. I think it's going to be free scoring. So I'm going to go like 6-3.
It's going to be free scoring, and Atalanta are going to win it. I'm calling it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm calling it. I'm calling it 7-4. Atalanta.
7-4.
Yeah, I'm calling it. That Atalanta team can tear teams apart.
They can.
And that Paris defense is.
It's shaky.
Aging Thiago Silva.
But I think the addition of Ander Herrera has been brilliant for them.
Yeah, but Idrissa Gana Gay's better. But you know.
Yeah, but what playing both then? Against Atlanta, playing both. Honestly, playing both.
Then where's your attacking threat?
Well, you still got Neymar, mate.
But then we go Leipzig, Atletico Madrid.
I think as much as I like Leipzig, also will they keep Werner? I don't think they.
No, Werner is left. I
know he's at Chelsea, but he can't. Because he's not playing for Leipzig. Yeah, he can't register for Leipzig. I think that's a big addition, and we know.
No, he chose not to play for him. A bit like Arthur did for Barcelona. You've already signed a contract elsewhere.
It's your obligation, isn't it? You can't. Yeah. I think Atletico, we know what they're going to do. They're going to sit in.
It's Atletico. 3-0 on aggregate. They don't concede. Score maybe two scrappy goals.
2-0, maybe a 3-1. But you know, Nagelsmann's going to have a hard time without Timo Werner and some of these other players breaking down.
I think he could be in line for the German manager, to be honest with you.
I think he could. I think an outside shout, if there's the job, might be United. Down the line,
I don't know. I think you're stuck with Ollie for a while now, mate.
The football he plays, I'd like him at United. Either him or Poch would be my two. If I had to take a manager, I'd take Nagelsmann or I'd take Pochettino.
Yeah, I think I'd do the same. So Barcelona, Bayern.
Well, my heart, I want to pick the GOAT. I want to put the greatest. But
yeah, I'm going Bayern as well, actually.
I've got to go Bayern.
As a Barcelona fan, I still think it's Bayern. Yeah, I think it's going to be a close one.
5-3. I think
it'll be a close one. I think, honestly, it'll come down to stupid mistakes at the back. I think it will come down to trying to play it out. Well, Longley looked really good yesterday. I think it's more Piqué.
He actually looks more comfortable in that back line now.
It's Piqué and Alba at the moment that look a little bit old.
Yeah, just switching back to it. Do you think also because they've had for a while, they have Vermaelen, Piqué, Umtiti, Longley. They had a lot of parts they tried to work into the team.
They haven't got a solid back two.
No, that's not like Puyol.
Piqué is obviously the anchor for right now, but he's 33.
Yeah, and he looks it.
Longley looks really good, and obviously Umtiti is really good, but he might be offloaded somewhere. I reckon Man City go in for him more. Well,
I think Paris might come in.
Yeah, someone like that. Big team.
Yeah,
40 mil sold. What they missed out on signing Hermosa. Obviously Atletico went out and got him, big. But if they had got him, they would have had a solid back four, would have been perfect. And your last one, Ev, is Man City Lyon.
That's not going to be competitive at all. That is going to be an absolute.
You reckon? I don't know. I watched Lyon against Juve, and I still think it's City all over, but I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think
good games.
I think Lyon have got a chance, especially now Memphis is back, because that was the big worry that he wasn't going to be there because of his injury. But I honestly, I'm going to predict like 5-1.
Memphis is obviously on a bit of a tear at the moment. I mean, you saw his Panenka against Juve. To do that in a Champions League quarterfinal?
Yeah, against Juve.
Against Juventus, when you have a chance of going out.
When you're only 1-0 up.
It down the middle.
You're only 1-0 up. You're not like 3 or 4. You're 1-0 up on aggregate.
That's some big cojones. That's some big cojones.
I mean, it still pains me that he left us, but you know.
Well, crap for you.
He was very bad. He didn't play well. So yeah, I think that's basic. I think relatively the same, apart from Atlanta and PSG. But
I think the Atlanta
love that free scoring.
But this is where I feel that the impact is most felt in sports is the lack of crowd.
Yeah,
because Atlanta could have
Yeah.
gone really far. Lyon could have gone really. They could go really far with a good crowd.
We saw Atlanta. They 4-3 against Valencia.
Yeah.
And then 4-1. They scored 8 goals against Valencia.
I mean, I'm a Norwich fan, and watching them play without a crowd was almost like watching League Two football again. It's the impact of a crowd is as big as a club legend.
So to finish off, obviously the Premier League's concluded. We're not going to speak about the actual league so much as just our team. So I thought we'll just start in goal. Who would you have in goal, mate?
Yeah, well, I think I'd have to go for Alisson.
Alisson.
I think it has to be Alisson Edison.
One of the Brazilians.
I'm going to have to give a shout out to Tim Krul.
Tim Krul,
Norwich Player of the Season, easily top 10 keeper in the league. Dean Henderson as well, obviously. Actually, what am I on about? Nick Pope.
Nick Pope. That's my choice.
It's Nick Pope all
Nick
day
Pope
long.
It's
Nick Pope all day long, and
the reason Burnley were where they were
is Nick Pope, Ben Mead, James Tarkowski.
It's a perfect English diamond.
Incredible keeper. England's number one should be.
Oh, easily. Pickford's trash.
Yeah, Pickford's out.
I'm saying it now. Pickford is dreadful. He doesn't deserve to be anywhere near that team.
Nathan, I think you're a better keeper than Pickford at the moment, mate. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you genuinely, like, every time you watch Everton play, you're like, when's the mistake coming? Like, honestly.
Yeah, obviously there's a big impact on the back four there as well. But
yeah. But, okay, so do you want to just run me through who you'd have as defence? So just run through your right back, centre backs, and your left back.
Oh, you give me yours first, mate.
Well, mine, as much as I want to put Wan-Bissaka, it's Trent. He's most assists for. I'll just get the fullbacks are easy. It's Andy Robertson and it's Trent Alexander-Arnold for me. I think they got 25 assists combined. They stormed the league. They walked it. They're one of the biggest reasons why they stormed the league because they just fit Jurgen's system. That's what he wants. He wants that attacking and seeing them ping 60-yard balls to each other. Can't really knock it. And then centre back, you got to put Van Dijk in. I don't think that. Just like Nick Pope, I don't think you can really argue Van Dijk. And lastly, I'm going to go very out of left field. I'm going to go John Egan for Sheffield United.
Oh, yeah, what a shout that is, to be fair.
I'm going to go for him.
I'd probably go more with Jack O'Connell. I think
Jack O'Connell's a good shout, yeah.
He's been brilliant.
But maybe Connor Cody for Wolves.
Connor Cody's been very good. And honestly, Nathan Ake at Bournemouth, if they would be down by April.
They would have been below you.
Oh, they would have been down in lockdown if it wasn't for Nathan Ake. They would have been.
So where would you disagree with that then?
I think Kieran Tierney at left back deserves a shout. He's been a very good left back. Injury prone, but last end of the season. Bukayo Saka, actually.
Yeah, but you can't. The thing is, he
can't look past Robertson. Really.
Yeah, Kieran Tierney didn't play enough. Like it's a similar thing with Bruno Fernandes. Like Kieran Tierney only made 15 appearances. That's not enough to get in the team. I know he played well at the end, but they moved him in more towards centre back and a 3-back. But you can't play 15 games and get in. Just like you can't, as much as I love him, you can't put Bruno in. Didn't play enough. Just say, he played 14 games.
If it wasn't for Trent, I think I would have gone Danilo Pereira.
Leicester fell off though.
Yeah,
I know he was.
Chagla Soyuncu as well, also been.
I think Soyuncu's the only.
He's been a very good centre back. Seen Barcelona interested in him.
Yeah, that'd be a good sign.
So I think I'd probably go with this. Well, I'd go Jack O'Connell.
So you instead of John Egan, you go Jack O'Connell.
If Laporte was fit all season, it'd be Laporte.
Yeah, it would be Laporte and Van Dijk.
I think I'd have to go Van Dijk and Jack O'Connell.
That's a good shout. Okay, midfield 2. I don't think there's any.
Are you doing a 4-4-2?
I do. Well, if you want to do 4-3-3,
I might do 4-3-3.
Okay, well I'm going to do 4-4-2 because I want to incorporate some other players. Two midfielders. It's Henderson and De Bruyne.
Honest to God, thought he was going to pick Bruno Fernandes. Then.
I just hedged myself. I did just say I can't put him in. He's only played 14 games.
I honest to God thought he was still going to do it.
I thought about it for a second, but no, it's got to be like Jordan Henderson when he was out of the team. They looked to shell of themselves in that midfield. They looked like they didn't know how to play football. And without him, he's that driving force. And De Bruyne is the best player in the Prem.
Yeah.
As much as it pains me to say it, having a Liverpool and Man City midfield as the Premier League team of the season, but De Bruyne he broke the record. Well, he equaled the record, didn't he, for most assists in a season?
I think he broke it.
I think he broke it.
I think he broke the record for most goals and assists in a season.
Yeah, most.
Maybe not. Might have been Henry's.
Might have been. Yeah. Either way, De Bruyne is Premier League player of the season. If he's not, it's a crime. It should be De Bruyne. What about you? Who are your three?
I think I have to go Grealish.
Grealish?
Yeah, Grealish. Grealish is the reason Aston Villa are still in the Premier League.
I'll give you that. I think
at the start of the season, I thought he was overhyped. I was a James Maddison fan through and through.
I still am a James Maddison fan.
As the season's gone on, I just see how much he means to that team. Not even if he plays badly, that the fact that he drives players to do better
he's the last true bastion of he will die for that shirt. He loves it.
Is he 23, 24 now?
24.
And he behaves like he's a 39-year-old. On the pitch, anyway. Off the pitch,
he looks like
a different story. But
he has been in there for years. But
he's matured more in the last year than I've seen in the last.
You'd think it was like Fabregas playing back in the day.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't think he's only 24. Honestly, the amount of composure and style and class that he has in that midfield is amazing.
Yeah.
So
I'm going. I am going to go with De Bruyne, obviously.
Yeah.
No and Henderson? Then I think I'm going to have to go Henderson. He has been class.
Yeah, he hasn't.
But a shout out to Emi Buendia. Most chances created out of any top six player. Outside of the top six.
Shout out to Bruno Fernandes.
In a relegated Norwich side,
Yeah.
Well, but Bruno was there for like half a year.
Well, yeah, exactly.
In a side that finished third. Emi Buendia was in 20th, mate.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And but you saw.
He remained
but you saw you saw the football that United were playing before.
Yeah,
Bruno,
definitely.
mate.
Yeah, the impact he's had is revolutionary.
Most goal involvement since he arrived, but like I said, he can't go in. He hasn't played enough. I'll give you that. Next season, maybe we'll see if he carries it on. But anyway, I'll leave that. I'm going to go right midfield and left midfield, kind of like
a wing,
advanced wingers.
A 4-2-2-2.
Essentially, 4-2-2-2. And I'm going to put Aubameyang and Mohamed Salah in as the.
Going for Mohamed Salah?
Yeah,
over Mane.
I think you got to put him over Mane.
I really wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, mate, I think they're a tie. There's not a wrong option.
If I'm signing one player from the Premier League that isn't obviously De Bruyne, it's Sadio Mane.
That's a fair shout. I just think early it was Mane and then later it was Salah, and it's a coin flip.
Van Dijk
it's a coin flip. Yeah, it's a coin flip.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think just Mo Salah. He's just scoring goals. He's come in. He looks a ridiculously good player compared to what he looked like at Chelsea.
Even at Roma he wasn't hitting those kind of heights.
No, it was Fiorentina and now Liverpool is where he's really looked like just a different class.
Yeah.
But I think you could definitely make the argument for Mane, possibly Sterling.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just going to go with Salah, and Aubameyang has to be in the team.
Yeah.
Arsenal would be a bottom half club without him. That's what I'm saying.
100%. Yeah.
He almost got the golden boot, and playing off the left wing most of the time. Like, he gets
I think I've
out.
got a very similar. I think the only difference I've got is where you've got Salah, I've got Grealish. Because obviously my front three is Aubameyang, Ings, and Vardy.
That's my front two is
there.
You have to give a big shout out to Danny Ings. What a season!
What a player!
Signing of the season, mate.
What a player! I think he is up there with signing of the season.
It's him or Bruno for me, but obviously biased. I know you've got
it's Bruno's been there half a year.
I know you're holding back.
When Bruno plays bad, everyone plays bad, and it's like
that shows how good he is.
Yeah, but then it's like
I know that shouldn't be the case.
You need to be consistent. You need to be.
That just shows he needs more help around him. That's what I'm saying. I know he does. He has really bad performances.
Paul Pogba.
Yeah, but Paul Pogba's only just recently come back. So
why have you not played Fred? He was so good beginning of the season.
Because Matic has come in and basically played.
Even Matic is worse than McTominay, mate. Like,
but Matic does a job where he'll do what Busquets does. He'll just sit there. He doesn't care about stats or anything. He'll sit in front of the back four and he'll just distribute. He'll just short passes to release everyone. McTominay tries to play too much like Pogba, and then we've basically got Pogba with more of a quiff. That's what we have, essentially, because he plays the exact same way.
Pogba.
And you notice when McTominay comes on, Pogba has to then fill in that Matic role.
See, I think if you did this team of the season in December, I would have put Fred in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fred should play more, but I don't think Fred can play that Matic role. He ain't got the height or the thing or the power. Danny Ings, what a
though, the incredible thing is, through all the years that he's been in the Premier League, Sergio Aguero still won't get in the team of the season.
No, and that injuries this year as rightly so.
He still scored 15 goals this season? And he's injured for half the year?
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous, man.
And City are a better team when he's in the team.
He's an absolutely incredible. Never been in a team of the season.
It's absurd.
Sergio Aguero never been in a team of the season.
You would have thought you'd have been in 2012.
And the other man that might miss out this year is Harry Kane. And,
easily. I don't think he's been up to.
I think only because of
he's been
injury.
up to scratch.
Only because that injury got back in.
Hey, listen. He's
still
a great.
Spurs.
He's a great striker from within 18 yards. Don't get me wrong. He's a brilliant finisher.
Yeah.
But I just think I need to see. Don't get me wrong. If you're on about his finishing, it's amazing. I think he needs more, just a little bit more to his game. Just needs to.
I think he's
his
the best
distribution's
out
getting
and out
better.
striker in the world at the moment.
Lewandowski.
Oh yeah, true. Actually,
Come on. There's a couple.
I mean, like you obviously got Firmino being he's more like a centre forward.
Firmino's not. He's a cam.
Yeah, exactly.
Firmino's a
That's what I'm
cam.
saying. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, mate, like.
So I think and Vardy obviously Vardy just scores goals.
I think Kane needs to move though. He needs to leave.
Yeah, okay, I'd agree.
Although Tottenham's best player this season is Heung-min Son, so
Yeah.
he deserves a shout out as well.
Well, Spurs have got a lot more problems than that, but
yeah.
we can get into that another time.
Another time, yeah.
Thank you, Harry, for coming on today. It was a good insight.
Thank you very much, Harry. It was really good to have some fresh opinions on, and
Honestly, anytime, boys.
yeah, I think me and Ev have said like we will have a couple, probably like. Especially with the Champions Leagues on, I think we've got a couple of people lined up to come on and just chat football. Just because, it's quite nice to have the football discussion with someone who knows football. Otherwise, it's just a bit of you talking at me for 5 or 6 minutes. But I think...
I mean, that is true, yes.
Yeah. But I enjoyed listening to it, so it's nice to have that on there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure you follow us and drop us a rating. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you hit the sub button and drop us a like, leave us a comment. If you do want to chuck us a message and ask us to discuss some things, then just message us on Instagram or Facebook. All the links are down in the description. And we will be back again next week. Cheers, Al.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Nathan.
Harry.
Cheers. Thank you very much.